大家好，此次的讲座再过1-2分钟后即将开始，请大家稍待。Hello everyone, today's teaching will start in 2 minutes. Please wait, thank you. Hello everyone, welcome. First of all, I would like to remind everyone that we have Chinese and English interpretations today. Please click on the bottom right globe icon and select English if you prefer to listen to the English interpretation. 各位法友，大家早安、午安、晚安。Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. 欢迎大家参加今天佛陀初转法轮日的问答讲座。此次的活动是由清哲基金会圆满法藏佛典汉译计划主办。我们非常荣幸能够在这样一个殊胜的日子，邀请到Choying Dorje Khenpo为我们进行这次的讲座。We would like to welcome all of you to join us for today's Q&A session on the Buddha's first turning of the wheel of Dharma, also known as Trikor Duchen. This event is organized by the Kumarajiva Project. It is a great honor to have Khenpo Choying Dorje with us on this auspicious day. 圆满法藏佛典汉译是宗萨钦哲仁波切发起的一项历史性的译经计划。这项计划的目标是将所有未译成汉文的藏文、巴利文与梵文藏经翻译成中文，并且透过文思这些佛典，让华人社会学习佛法的热情能不断地生根茁壮。The Kumarajiva Project is initiated and led by Dzongsa Khyentse Rinpoche. It is a historically significant Dharma text translation project whose aim is to translate all the previously untranslated Tibetan, Pali, and Sanskrit Buddhist texts in both classical and modern Chinese in order to make them available to all Chinese readers. The aspiration is that by making these previously untranslated Buddhist texts more widely accessible for study and contemplation, the root of the Chinese Dharma community will be strengthened. 今天的教授主要是希望回答法友们对新译佛经《圣临终志大乘经》的问题。我们总共整理了19个来自不同法友的问题。 Today's teaching is intended to answer our Dharma friends' questions related to the newly translated Sutra, the Sutra on Wisdom at the Hour of Death. We have received and collected a total of 19 questions. Choying Dorje Khenpo 是一位学识渊博的藏传佛教学者，他总是能以耳目一新又生动的方式，深入浅出地为大众解说佛法。Khenpo从计划开始以来，已经陆续为圆满法藏佛典汉译计划讲解过20多部佛经，对我们确保翻译的品质意义非凡。Khenpo Choying Dorje is an extremely well-learned Tibetan Buddhist scholar, known for his fresh and engaging style of presenting Buddhist philosophy. Khenpo has taught more than 20 sutras for the Kumarajiva project. His teachings have helped us to ensure the quality of our translations tremendously. 现在，请辩审委员张坤成老师带领我们先念诵皈依发心文。Now we would like to request our Chinese editor, Pema Namgyal, to lead the prayer in Chinese.
诸佛正法众中尊，直至菩提我皈依。我以师等诸福德，为利众生愿成佛。诸佛正法众中尊，直至菩提我皈依。我以师等诸福德，为利众生愿成佛。诸佛正法众中尊，直至菩提我皈依。我以师等诸福德，为利众生愿成佛。
接下来，请大家欢迎Choying Dorje Khenpo。今天的问答讲座即将开始，请大家敬请期待。Now let's welcome Khenpo. Khenpo, thank you so much for joining us. We'll now start our panel discussion.
Lasso Namo Buddhaya. Tani ta thoma telatring peju nonton ke kecha ketong chena ta dakya guton ba kaden chinji chungu korwa ki tuchi che perjin tende jimdu tene chugu tuchi indala choma la thoma tahi delay shani
敬礼佛陀。首先，今天是我们藏的佛教的说法大小师
Today is a special day during which the Buddha has first turned the wheel of the Dharma. And so because of that, I wish you, I extend all my wishes to you on that special day.
Chitong tiba chimbo kendo mombo chuyure di tinani hajang ndo tsa chimbo ndaka ihe kendo dini gito do jabji zongsa chinsirin buji ke kasong huma diko la kachu song chawa di tuanda la ta nga su dronling ki namba ke trawa dringi tsuchi namba chene dindriji jaya chunga te susungi ne pe misi gawu chunga dini nga su tat Jawat Chitra Pongre de Panagin Kima Tini Karisugoro Rimakin the Noya in
在这样子的一个殊胜日当中，大家可以齐聚一堂来。
Today there are a lot of different sutras from the great vehicle, and out of them, the one that we are going to be talking about is the one of the wisdom of the hour of death that has been already taught by Tonta Khenpo Rinpoche. And so even if he has already taught that, then today we will do a session of question and answer about that. And I'm very happy to have been offered the occasion to do so. And so we will follow the question and the question that they in the order that they come out. So in the question and answer session of the secondary material recorded teaching, there's a question: is luminosity or clear light the same as non-conceptual light? From which you reply that their base is the same, they differ only in terms of perspective. From which you discuss the point of being different only in terms of perspectives.
다 도파타데세 때 깨자때 지동 다다 테마의 용어가 깨졌지레스.
通常讲到不同的面向或者是反
So the idea of being one same base but different aspects is a terminology of Brahmana, of Tibetan Buddhist logic.
테마 깨자레스야 때 테마 네 타니데 다 가르스고로 직 테마게 나게 타니지레라 예나요 따티 식데 배주 땅니 ngaso 용침분데 네 급설라요 당ngaso 고다테 백제돌야 배주 땅 위에 띠인디잖아 따티 시탕기라 다 지당 가르스고로 네 펜션지 제니 휴기인스
虽然这个词汇它主要
So even though it is a terminology or term that is coming from the context of logic, of Buddhist logic, it can be as so this term could be used when teaching other great treatises in order to make the point of the teacher clear. So just to make a simple example.
오직바 오직게라 도과 타데스 시험디 페나 펜션 넘줄라 간이 야그르스나 범바타 오지는 첨바이나 범바데 제파요데 나타파요데 응어보요 레드유레 레드유디 범바게 투도 제바다 마타바다 응어보스모데 데니 제동 오직 레드유레 이직 세나 오직 레드유레 예나요 코랑섬 독반다이나 타데차데고 가인스나 제바스지디 고주진 제베기차니 제바스 양요레 마타바스지디 고키치니 말하면 되베롱기 비드 생고는 마타비 양요레 응어보스지디 고 깨지 스마라다 응어보긴 깨완 느베게 던제 느바게 차니 야고디 페나 인지그 노 인지그 깨나 논주 셰동데나 sam entity same entity, different aspect. Segdo aspect, different aspect. Penatendity, same entity, different aspect. Tangoji the what the indigenous the legend in the head just something in the Tata Condition again, watching the what had said, what religion language.
我们来谈一下这个所谓的它的本质是一，然后不同的。
So when we talk about the same base with different aspects, then the classical example that is given is that of a vase. So we can say that a vase is at the same time it has been made, at the same time it is impermanent, and it is also an object, a functional object. And so the fact that these three characteristics or these three aspects coexist on the same basis, that is the vase is what we said, saying that it is one same basis. So the three exist on the vase itself. And then when we say that they are different aspects of the same basis, then it is to mean that when we talk about something that is made, then it means that it has been constructed by, compounded by other things.
그러면 比方说像当我们说它是和合性。
So saying that has been made constructed means that it is the result of compounding of the phenomena. When we say that it is impermanent, then it is from the point of view that it is changing from instant to instant. And when we say that it is a functional object, it is from the point of view that it has the function of being the cause of its existence in the next instant. And so it serves its own purpose as well as a vase. And so those three aspects of these three things that we say about it is from different point of view. So different. And so in English, what we used to say is here the same entity, but different aspects.
same entity in the world
但当我们说它有相同的本质
so when we talk about something, the relation of being the same basis, the same essence, that has the same nature, that has different aspects, and then it doesn't mean that it necessarily needs to be the same object on only one thing that has this relation of being one same basis with two different objects. And the reason is that when we talk about, for example, the general entity of a generic entity of a tree, and then a specific tree like a sandalwood or pine wood, then the relation between the general entity of a general construct of a tree and the specific tree, then those two have the same nature. They both have trees, and yet they are distinct in aspect. And because of
就成为一个法呢，它们并不是
yes,
同一个
and then the general concept of a tree is different from a real life tree like a sandal tree. And so because of that, if you can be said to be one in nature yet separate in aspect, doesn't mean that you need to be the same physical object with one single object. And so at the same time, when you say that it is one in nature and different in aspect, then doesn't need to be only different.
那这是刚刚的第一个问题，接下来下一个问题
Yes, okay, so that is what is meant by one in entity and different aspects. Okay, so next question.
我说牛毛把的呢，对这些当题目送，这个刚刚一样的呢，为啥我这等于送把这的对他干这啥？我领导感觉连过。
So Khenpo, which is defilement and desire, anger, and ignorance are all of this. What does it mean?
이시인배 손지긴데 무슨 듯이 라도 건버사고 세진다고 당 가나긴 게 추탐지지랑이 외세인배 손니 손도와 제som 대인딘디 값서 외세세지디 다 남중가 소시에데 그 추탐지게 내로 사통 종주세게 도서도 단다지 벌라고 차대기 요래 대인디잖아 다 뉴욕몬반데 자기 너 뜨모로 소바테다 탐지 장 그런 거만 제기해보이나 롱공오 살통 손도 주바 텔레 만데버든데 임바인두 베나 추지 인레 마토비 춘가 요바 마이노 히송아 따도 데네 뉴모먼데 자이케동 된다 뜨모테다 탐지 좀 그런 내로 기시에 보이나 외살레 만데버 좀싱군에 송바인 인주레스
关于这一点，我们如果按照本经的角度来说的话，正如经文里面所说的，
So if we follow closely what is said in this specific sutra, where we find affirmations such as once the mind has been realized, then the wisdom itself does not need to be searched anywhere else. And another affirmation that says the mind itself is the clear light, is luminosity. And so because of that, then this affirmation on the defilements of desire, anger, ignorance are all luminous should have, yes. This implies that then all the negative emotions such as attachment, desire, etc., saying from in reality, then their nature is nothing else but the unity of both luminosity and emptiness. And so this is just similar to this other affirmation that we often hear, which is that there are no
korong ngamat karing me che kimjo we che ta hin me pha che ngamat te ya yin teni nyomba kono tombo che ba yo mare pa da ne ba yo mare thama ga ba yo mare che sam nyomong ke jama te ke deni ta dewa deni tindi ji rong gi we sa be rang gi o tinde cha de yo ba yin du ta nga so nam ju so se yo ke ta te ha mo de cha lan de cha thong he dang thong tamol thong ni Koran chong de gyure jesa ta kasi tin thomba yina tene wesela thana thongje songje ndo yorba jesa tene indisana ngene nesula nyomo mande chake do tomolo subate dayang tene wesele mande pa yimbe jumsin ni goni songje res tindos
那我想就像是在
So this affirmation that says that in the ultimate expanse of the ultimate reality of phenomena, then all phenomena are exactly the same. There are no difference from one another. It's similarly here when we talk about, so in the Buddha, there's this quote that says that all negative defilements are to be discarded or is discarded by the fire of the wisdom, and this means to say that negative emotions are indeed negative defilements and things that are unclean, etc. And yet, if you analyze them closely, then you will see that from the beginning, from the very beginning, they didn't rise from anywhere. In the middle, they do not abide anywhere, and in the end, they do not cease anywhere either. And because of that, since the very beginning, since ever, their nature is the unborn. And so if so sentient beings like us do not realize the emptiness of those defilements, and because of that, then we err unendingly in the samsara, and yet those who see this unborn nature or this luminosity of the negative emotion, then they will be enlightened.
下一个问题，一切法自性光明故，因修不可得想。可否请师父解释这里的光明
？Sūtra states all phenomena are naturally luminous, so one should cultivate a clear understanding of non-apprehension. Could Rinpoche explain the meaning of luminosity? It is explained in two commentaries that the latter part of sentence which states one should cultivate a clear understanding of non-apprehension focuses on the practice of emptiness. Is the intention here to express non-duality of luminosity and emptiness?
단디 Russell 세아게 야부 거기도 해라 맞아 가는데 디스도 거기
사보 거기도 사보 거기도 알로 다다 디도라
Russell 세아디게 나서 Russell 세아게 디 고알렌탕 데라 Chitong nganji kepa tangje kualen tong to chu mandaba yores.
通常不同的学者对
Generally speaking, when we talk about luminosity, different scholars or different realized beings have different ways of understanding it.
Korang la drama ke demani go manyung pa drama tsawar ni me pa we sawa sen di tsana drama tsawar ni go manyung ki jumsin ji go ni wesel sene dewa korang no de jin song do wa pena tin di tsana wesel se ji te nga chu pena tadan di crystal se anda wo tan sere se jin do to so la drama da yue da ba yin we to salo la sa ga mar ba 제상 드마당 달송이나 대다고 왜 슬로로 초대기라 왜 슬로로 초야기 좀시도 가르치는 코로나 드마 매비 좀 생고네들 빼나 되나 이게 큐톰직 내로 코로나 드마 매바 드마게 되니 그 많이 좀 생고 왜 싸와선 든디시 그요레스네 이게 왜서 그런다 든디지 그래스
比方说 像我们这一部
And so here, if we were to follow the commentary of this sutra by Panchasamudra, Sharakyamso in Tibetan, and then he explains that luminosity here, or clear light, is a reference to the ultimate nature of element, the emptiness, and the fact that the fact that the mind has never been so it has never been stained by defilements, and so this aspect of never being defined by defilements is that luminosity. And the example that is given is just like a crystal. So a crystal, if it is covered by dirt or by defilement, then it will not radiate. If light is put on it, then it will not radiate. It will not give out any luminosity, any light. On the other hand, if this crystal is pure and does not have any defilement, is completely pure, then it will be able to radiate and have light go through it. And so similarly to that, the fact that the mind has never been defiled is what is meant by most.
Tela gombar chagores kain sena chutamji ji rongi de memebare membe yumbi jumsin de karesna rongi ji we sabena se de jumsin de koyoro rongi de we sabena membe ndo hi gombar sawo se son was
Because most scholars agree on that explanation. And then here, looking specifically about this passage, they said, since everything is gathered or subsumed by the bodhicitta, the enlightened mind, then because of that, you should meditate on the thought of great compassion. And so here, so it is not only at the moment of this, but at any moment in time. And the same is true that all phenomena are this luminosity, and here this passage is saying because everything is subsumed in the enlightened mind, and so that is given as the explanation. So because of all phenomena being luminosity, then you should.
Dona kuni mi parsawa ke yul segonanda chutamje nelu korona teni madup chawa indu ko wese imbe jumse gone madup chadu teni te hakowa cheni teni te kambar cheni gomgres teni ju songbarendo chesam teni dana chetang na 다다 시바나이 그 사동 송주던 대화도 땡디 요레스. 그래서 그 바나기.
所以以现阶段来讲的话，由于
so since all phenomena, if we kind of if we tell things in a condensed way, then they are, because of all phenomena being luminosity, then they are free from any type of defilements, and anything that may defile it, then it is because of all phenomena or this luminosity, then great compassion should be meditated upon. And so here we are definitely talking about this luminosity, which is the same thing as saying the unity of, or the union of luminosity and emptiness.
Dewa corona lai we service nam khatar kila yo meme bin de gam se song ju da long zhong de zana yo de ni ku ni nyo mo ba meme nam khatar song de se song gu de ni we sa ba yin bi sir se ji ti danda do do nga so ke che she ye boy na zhma tham ji ni ku ni nyo mo ba la so zhma tham ji de ni tombe ke cha ni she yong du meme bin de gam se ji ti sa le cha je ni ta pe na 그래서 사동 순주세야 된다 도도 동반이 당 대토버 소소론리고 이히세케 거나다 대토버세비게 이히니 손돈 주벌 던디지 셰바인디잖아 제동 고아 던디지 랑는 만디부 가양요 말했어
那就像是在慧海论师他的注释当中
So in the commentary here, when he's talking about this luminosity, and then the example that is given is similar to the sky, and then later in the commentary it is saying that because of all phenomena being luminosity, then all phenomena are also free, since ever free from all defilements, and thus empty of all defilements. They are fully emptiness, and so it is because of that you should meditate on the thought of non-conception. And so, in short, what's this passage is saying by you should meditate on the thought of non-conception, then it is that we should develop this wisdom that realizes this union of luminosity and emptiness. So that is in very short, the meaning of this passage.
慧海书中提到一切法即与菩提心，就是说轮回与涅槃的一切法，即是自己的菩提心。
In the commentary composed by Panchasamudra, there's the following statement: all dharma are contained within bodhicitta. This means that all phenomena of samsara and nirvana are of one's bodhicitta. Then from so all of this.
大概也是多领导了龙记章一吧。 So
I have made a quote from the commentary of Prajna Samudra's comments, and then from the Madhyamika treatise of Essence of Reality, the object of compassion is as sentient beings, and it causes bodhicitta. So do these two statements have a similar meaning? Can Rumachi elaborate on this?
Pranja Samindra said, Peje Shrab Jamso sing Sarako, Pekenda, Lodu de la Mate, Mates da Segi Lade, Mate. Tindi Shrab Jamso can say Daga, he napkin on those Pomki, Sonchu Sens in the Benahim, though he go without his song days. Tandi Daga Hindu Koran on English song Yoruba. Tandi turned de did turn out the Netos of shootings. Tombo.
Yes. 那关于这个问题，首先是
So here the name is Prajna Samudra, so it is not it is not Dorje Gyamso, but Shirab Gyamso. Dorje would be Bhati in Sanskrit. And then here the commentary says all dharma are contained within bodhisattva. This means that all phenomena of samsara and nirvana are of one's bodhisattva. So first I would like to say something about it.
성juk samsun dupe sajute la ta kwa lengtang da wuji senayo namba 2的wuji zoju sare songguyo ta
我想其中他说
And so when it is said here, all dharmas are contained within bodhisattva, there are, in my opinion, two different ways of understanding it.
제가 탐지 성juk samsun du hibek dante 콘데게 추 탐제 롱게 샘레 로스주와 콘데제 추 탐제 강가데 롱게 샘지 촌추인 바세나다 샘지 노아인바 마도 샘레 로스주와 요마레 세juk 단테란 제기도안 제와 코로나
如果我们看慧海他的书的话
And so out of this, the first one is saying that is the obvious meaning of this passage. It says that all phenomena, so by everything here, we mean all phenomena from samsara and nirvana, are all not different from the mind, which means that they are all the magical display of the mind, or they are all the appearances that the mind perceives. And so because of that, they are not different from the mind. That is what the commentary says.
강가데 롱게 샘 라틴 샘지 노아 샘 투고 바캬이 톱지고는 파나는 캬 대학 리게 인디 강가데 롱게 단다 강타나야 샘레 로스 요 마레 세주겠다 대송도 어쩌선 띵디 다 띵디 임바 있나요 가수게 가래속으로 다 수수교 세군한다 마소그 틴데 하 먹어도 하 먹어게 대단 남라 되니 락부도 티 먹어 하 먹어 딱 강압도 솔레 잘완 되게 니지 전부 광고요래서 지금 무스파 제와 무스템발라 디지나 고알리나 디고요래 딱게 고알랑나서는 제와 코랑는 디사오 지레샤
那么我们继续看他的书
Then this is to be understood by thinking that unlike the philosophical schools that propound one object, the existence of an entity here, then here when we think about all phenomena, so everything either from the samsara or nirvana, then we here it is said, the author is saying that there are nothing else but the mind itself, meaning that they appear from they appear to the mind, and they are nothing else but the perception of the mind itself. And so whatever the case, it is the author here is saying that they are not different from the mind. And so even though on the one side it says that, and then yet on the other hand, for sentient beings, ordinary sentient beings, or for beings who do not realize that, who do not understand that, and who have some difficulties in realizing that, then the author is saying that for those people, then who have the wish of who have this the wish of realizing that, then they should meditate on the great compassion. So that is actually what is said here in the commentary.
추지 인레 만데 받는다 타도기나 추잉 차대야 된디 레드 요리티 있나요 근데 때 하마고는다 고송고발린 저한테 버인디 데나 하마고 베 샘지 데남지 강아도 동하도 제니 다 딜리 자란데 베기 니지도 검버차고 그래서 와탄디지네 데네 단 데농도 니 틴틴데라 종톰쟁나네 낭젠도 이제좀 드리지 요사레 요사레스 데다 동보데 가서 사히인스
That's all. 所以从第一种的
At times, when we find this expression, so the bodhicitta, then it is used, or it is meaning the ultimate bodhicitta, which is actually emptiness itself. And so from that point of view, then it is the same as saying that all phenomena, there is no phenomena that can exist outside of the scope of the ultimate expanse of phenomena. And so here it would be in the other way of understanding, it would be that by bodhicitta, we're meaning this ultimate reality or the ultimate expanse of phenomena. And so this would be to say that there is no phenomenon that since ever not empty, not found within the scope of the ultimate reality. And so because of being that, then those sentient beings, then on the other hand, sentient beings do not realize that. And then because of that, they circle in endlessly in the samsara. And so for that reason, then the great compassion should be meditated upon. And so these are the two ways that can be, that we can understand. So this is general presentation.
老师，这是第一个部分。
Then the second quote that is from the Madhyamaka treatise on the essence of reality and says that the object of compassion is sentient beings and its cause is bodhicitta. Then just looking at this root text, then I can't really have a clear understanding of what is meant by these two verses. I didn't have the time to make a research into the commentaries of this treatise. And so usually what we find in the treatises and in the philosophy is that sentient beings are the real object of the compassion of practitioners. And then we also find that compassion is the primary cause of developing bodhicitta afterwards. That is what we find. But here then it is saying the opposite, that that compassion comes from the bodhicitta. So I am not really understanding what is meant here, what the author actually meant. Since all phenomena are of non-apprehension, as it is said in the text, does it mean that Pure Land also does not exist? If so, when we aspire to be born in the Pure Land, where do we actually go?
Ale. 대화지 신고 요 말했어 라고 요 말했어. 다들 고아 nenga chimbo shore. Nenga re to.
So that is a very important question, because here it is not saying that the Pure Land does not exist. So as long as we exist, and then there will be also the Sukhavati that exists as well. And as long as things like the cause, or the basis, the path and the result, and things like sentient beings and Buddhas exist, then as long as those exist, then the Pure Land will also exist.
외바 메토솔로 소완데야 도스테 문트니 난가 내가 침보래도 유르스
就只要我们还有那么一天，就
And
是
because of that, as long as we face difficulties, either suffering in our minds or sicknesses on the level of our body, as long as there is this kind of difficulties, then it is very important and crucial to pray to Sukhabati and to pray to Amitabha to be reborn there.
옛나양 다단드니 가레스 옛나양 다단드니 가레송고르세나 다 추탐제 메미빠인 바세지 당 추탐제 랑기 넘버 다바세지 된다디 추탐제 코랑 니로 덴바 ngoman다티 칸디 자데 유르스나 니로 ngoman텔라 다 추 간라야나요 제가 내 섬도 잡았던지 임바인디 추지 내로 ngo마 그거니 해게 보이는 코라다 양엘은 데발라 제바 요 말에서 그게 해고 여러분
但我们此处所说的是什么呢？当此处
Yes, when here in this, when it is said that all phenomena are non-apprehension, what is meant here is that from the ultimate nature of all phenomena, from their ultimate nature, is their ultimate essence, then they are completely devoid of anything like arising, abiding, and ceasing. And so that is what is described here by saying that all phenomena are non-apprehension.
Yes.
Oh, ta nelo ngoma tela tendu je du yore te nga so kata ha mogo du ha mago mihi ba ke tam rang sena yanda te nelo ngoma te ha kowa ke tusela malheb je pa tela nga so karese bro tene samji songje jo lam devo to ganga te tadan dinis nga so ndo to so no hede yoba nagin ke drop de yorela nga so ngol drop de yorela teni hede de nal chutamji ke nelo koron de kandi mi chutamji nelo la ta rongji chu ba yo ma res de no dembe chu ba yo ma res de no chutamji nelo ngoma ta teni chade yo be ke jumse go ni ser ma to be ke dewa chin chu ma re nga so yo ma res teni ke je ke ma res ta
所以只要我们还没有办法了解，还没有办法真正的
And so that is the ultimate nature of all phenomena. But for beings like us who do not understand that, who don't realize that, as long as we do not realize it, then there will be this distinction between sentient beings and Buddhas. There will be this distinction between the basis or the cause, the path, and then the result. And so to us, as long as we will not have realized this ultimate nature, then all of this will exist to us. There's no problem about that. And then yet on the other hand,
从实相的角度来讲，这一切法没有办法。
then when we analyze things from the point of view of the ultimate reality, then there's nothing that can exist such as that can exist intrinsically or that can be apprehended. And so that is why we say that there is nothing such as the absence of real existence. And so this is not to us. And then next question. In the commentary on Bo's Prajna Samudra, there is the following statement. The wisdom of the time of that refers to the wisdom of the Tathagatas from bottom up, as recognized by them when engaging in the conduct in the past. What does from bottom up mean? Does it refer to the process of going from the path of accumulation, the path of joining until full awakening?
Ale tandi salam cheba insa mare songdo.
也许不是地道的差别。
I don't think that this has something to do with the
tandi
explanation of the path and levels.
wrong gomba data na papa pango papa ludum na yin ke chuni de ma so tong khin ji me ba ina ndo gomba ngaro so khato ke kwan den den de lane tab go na ka lekha bures
通常讲到
Then generally speaking, when we are thinking of a sutra itself, just like Khenpo has said in the teaching of this sutra, he says that unless we are someone like Nagarjuna who has reached the direct realization of the nature of phenomenon or the first bhumi, then it will be difficult for us to have a correct interpretation or understanding of what the sutra says from our own strength or without relying on anything else.
Pena chuni tandam de ma ngo so to changking bangon papa ludup tang papa thome la so ba tendri ki tenen do gomba ro to ni ka gomba to ma der ya bu ki tenchu to so la teni tene ka gomba ki tan tan den de re sin nga so ke kar so gro namjin da yana gomba tendri le ni kwa tendri le tu yo res
那我们要采取
what possibility of what method is there available to us in order to understand the intention or the meaning of such sutras? And then it is what we usually do. So there we rely on beings like Nagarjuna and Asanga who themselves have directly realized the nature of phenomenon and thus the meaning of the sutras. And then from that standpoint, then have commented on the intention of the Buddha and the meaning of the sutras. And so what we can do is to rely on them, understand what they say, and then comment on the meaning.
Dan in the min chebar mandota jagar jloben zebare rewani pel na bergen keba ngamada jiu tambang zebing dewa yinga jusa
整体而言
So in India, then there seems to be two commentaries that have been composed of this sutra of the wisdom of the hour of death. And so they are said to be composed by this and that Panditas, but this, whether it is truly composed by them or not, does not really matter. The fact is that they have been composed by great masters of the past in India, and then there are a few commentaries in Tibet by noble beings. And so it is by reading those commentaries that we can have a correct understanding of the sutra, and then we can know what we're talking about. And so that's what I wanted to emphasize. And so let me answer.
Tandin daka he said the Carisarina, the Yihiban, Lopa Lam in the Casus, Sonchu Sempe Sepasubam, Sonchu Sempe Lam Tusula, Gombe Jutire, Segorta, Todo. Tati Carires on Tisana, Woon in Jonga Tao said the wood in Daka he can do Korangon, Tematad and Jongu, Pena, Tematad Carichen Skeversena, Tematad Pena. dak chewiti daka ihin gombasa hotel daka ihin chu tamje rangi je number ta when ngupo me bendo kira to gombasa chu tamje sonju ji sen dibe na ni tim do kira to chu tamje rangi je wasa me bendo kira to gombasa sen ta sondo wa song di sana pena ngupo me pa shipa tang do shipa senanda 다단 되는 거 보면 그 단다한테 너나 추tamje 롱기 마도바 ngopom rongi ngopom madopa tendiji ha ko watan kik tada chu tamje sonju san de ke niji chembo gombatan ni memepen doki memepa hebata son chaba meba tang tusu de dan wonin yonga se de tanda to tusu la se de insares wonin yong se de daka ihe se de Take Temata wood de Neva Korang Hebe, wo said it taken Yuk Tenima Juna Tesote, Resegor, one in Yonatao.
而我下面呢
And then what is said here is that so the passage of that Sūtra is saying the wisdom of the hour of death, what is said to be the wisdom of the hour of death, and then what is commented is what is saying is that so the Tathagatas before, when they were bodhisattvas and they were engaging in their bodhisattva conduct in the past. So what this means is that when we are talking about the wisdom of the hour of death, what we are actually talking is the wisdom of the bodhisattvas when they were engaging in the bodhisattva's conduct. So before they got enlightened. And then after that, then we have this passage that is from the bottom up, that has been translated from the bottom up, but it actually means that as it will come afterwards. So here, as it will come afterwards, means that as it will be explained later on in the text. So, so then there are these 4 statements that are made in the right after that says, yes, knowing that there are no entities, no functional entities, then develop this the thought of this, and then after there's also this statement that says since everything is subsumed in the bodhicitta, then you should meditate on the great compassion. Then there is the thought of non-apprehension, and then finally the thought of the absence of attachment, of not having attachment. And so these are the what is coming afterwards, or has been rendered as from the bottom up. That means that is coming afterwards. And so here, when they say coming afterwards, it means that it is still inside the sutra of the wisdom of the hour of death, but has not been reached yet at the moment when the author of the commentary is writing this sentence.
근데 다른 또저 다디 다당 아는 속에 로경 제작도 그런 레완 진보래도 근데 다른 노동도 오지 또저 고대 오시나 뺀나 점내는데 지마 남크님 볼 까창도 손주 선반 집에는 나가이 광고 그래 마 까짜바라
我们在这边稍微来简略的
Since it is something that is very crucial to understand when we are studying Buddhist philosophy, then I want to say something more. So here, this thing is the Bhagavan is saying to Namkeni, he's saying you should meditate on the wisdom of the hour of death.
ninji chimbu ndo hibase ninji chimbo de na yenge mimi bando hibase mimi ba hakwa mimi ba toba machapa sonje yin de metsaba da tamje de tan dona ndaka yi se de tere de yore gam se ya te ta ti ya gombar che gore gombar chao ke do se sab te di tana 나가 얘기네 원인 종아세야 그 오딘 나가 얘기 때마 다도 띠 오딘 책띠고 오니마 ndo 코로나 요즘 중요한테 된남라 그 단레스 고아 드리진 인사 고 드리 고아 그 단드리 인사레서 거
그래서 所以呢我们也可以看到本经当中
So what is this wisdom of the heart that actually like? Then it is these 4 different things. So first, the thought of the absence of the divine, then the thought of great compassion, the thought of non-compassion, the thought of the absence of not needing to search Buddha anywhere. So the fact of understanding that, then what is meant by the wisdom of the heart, then at the end of each of those affirmations or patterns, then you should meditate on that. So that is the same thing the Buddha was saying to Namkeni, that you should meditate on this wisdom. So when it says here below or down here or afterwards, then it is meaning that this wisdom of all of that is this further explanation that is coming later on in the story.
我把这个所谓的由下而上所生的智呢，这个由下而上所生智，我把它理解成为下面将要出现的这一些。
나서 때네 들어가래.
那下一
So
个
next question.
下一个佛果
What is Buddhahood actually?
三阶级ご本生でカレです。
다 손제지 검홍세지 때 당가서 그 단드니에서 특과 진보 그 단드니에서 타토바드레스
作为这个
So Buddhahood is the objective, the ultimate objective of practitioners from the Mahayana.
손제지 검홍세지 때 남유 깨져케는 끈 세바 연딩 끈도 댐비게 다 딘디게 사차세나다 딘디게 샘제 내동제라 드니 손제지 검홍세 해고요레스
我们平常说到佛果的时候
And so
会
usually when we hear the word Buddhahood, then what we understand is either a place or a mental state where all defect and all defects have been abandoned, all qualities have been acquired.
시자 탐지기 jet다와다 진인제 말리부터 주벽 로드도서 제 상계에서 맹코롱게용 총제게 검홍세지데 간디임인데 땡땡요리 제서 딘디게 상제 제 검홍세지데 땅 도도 해는 가서게 샘제 가르속으로 연땡 타토바지 샘게 딱 야 야제 샘 야제 다당아서 샘 녀모바도 되차다 해랑 때mol로 소바스 깨져 해난다 간단한 샘 배용다 차오 인진 든지지 레드 여보인데나 대다 탐제 강가 장세난다 강가 매배 너나 샘지 연팅 탈토바 든지라 손제기 공통세 얘는 되게레스
比方说佛陀这个词，它也可以被理解
And so the word Sangye is actually expressing what Buddhahood is in itself, because the first part of Sangye, which is the Tibetan rendering of the word, Sang is a reference to the fact of having cleared up all the sleep of the two kinds of ignorance and negative emotions. So that is the first part. And then the second one, Ye, means to have been fully developed the wisdom of knowing things other are and in all their diversity. And so the word Sangye, the word Buddhahood itself in Tibetan is explaining what is actually Buddhahood. And so in short, if you want to kind of to make it even shorter, then we can say that it is the ultimate development or ultimate improvement of our minds. And in order to reach that, then the first thing is to get rid of or to not have any of the defects of the mind and to Then to make it even simpler, then we can say that is the realization of the nature of all phenomena, the nature of the mind itself. Whether we want to call that Buddha nature or not, Tathagata or not, that is fine, but it is this ultimate realization of the mind. We can say that it is the wisdom that realizes the ultimate nature or the ultimate reality of all phenomena.
No, so
here in the Sūtra, it's also said, if you realize the mind, then because of it being wisdom, then you should not search for Buddhahood anywhere else. Okay, so next question. What is great compassion?
具足菩提心，应修大悲想。何谓大悲？ 네, ninje 첨보 써야 돼. 네, 고아 렌단 관계스 내 거였어.
ninje 첨보 세제. ninje 첨보 세제 때 깨자 해온데 다든나 ninje 충성주 여바지 땡기도 왔어.
当我们说大悲的
If we talk about the great compassion, then what we imply is that there's the small compassion, right?
ninje 세제 때 가리면 문제야 오지 싸고 정도나 대내치 총 세제 때 가리면 때 레라오군 하고도 그랬어.
首先我们如果能够
First, if we define clearly what is meant by compassion itself, then we will be able to know what would be a smaller form of compassion or a bigger form of compassion.
ninje 세제 때 yenle samba zombo 제바 쌈라 ninje 세게 말했어.
仅仅是
When we talk about compassion, it's not simply the mind of the thought of being kind toward others.
ninje 세제 때 코란 텐다이나 samba zombo 레드 요레데 얘나 samba zombo 제바 쌈지고는 ninje 세 야가 말했어.
当然悲本
And
身是
so, when we talk about compassion, it is indeed a kindness towards others, but simply being kind to others will not qualify for compassion.
ninje 세제 때 오만다이나 다 삼진 미율긴 삼진 동하다 덴바 던데지 통 동하다 덴바 통이 동하 딜레야 껴빠른데봐 동하 딜레야 타 껴봐 동하데 파셀완 데베 그 로질이 니지스 헤그레스
所谓的悲心
And so, when we talk about compassion, it is the thought of first having in front of us or in our mind sentient beings who are suffering. And so, first to see, to have the knowledge that there are sentient beings who are suffering, and then to generate the thought of wanting to save those beings from that suffering, or to clear up the suffering of those beings.
hinje te ngote hintop de yorela hinje ti ngote dingchoi ti de yorela hinje ti ngote popa ti de yores
所以这样子的悲心
So this compassion is on the one side, it is this wish. It is also this certainty and also the courage. And so when we talk about compassion, it does not mean that there is no suffering inside the compassion at all.
tendegi hinje te pena samji jegla meini samji te ke koron ne kap ke pena tipe donga nabe donga chakwa donga tosole jaman de ke lo do ji mai na ko hinje ni se basena hinje re de hinje ya bore de yana tada ne she be hinje jimbo de chag mares
当我们看到某一个
So, for example, taking the example of the compassion that wishes to free sentient beings from hunger, from thirst, from this kind of suffering, it is indeed compassion. It is what we call yes, a temporary or lesser compassion, but it is not the great compassion that we're talking about here.
Ngasong som ke dongha dawan de ni thodi hla da me dewa la ko de ni ta tindi ji ngasong so dongha dawan de ko lo te tindi yo ba ina te che tong hinji ya po de ta ta khama to so le hinji che ge de yana on de la yang de ni ke pe ki hinji chimbo se he ge ma res
我们说这样的有
The compassion of wishing to free sentient beings from the sufferings of the three lower realms and to establish them in the bliss or the happiness of the three higher realms, that is indeed a compassion that is good, that is excellent, and better than the one that we were talking about before, but it still doesn't qualify for the great compassion that we talk about here.
Korak donghali dani tarwa nyangelen de ba pena nyentu da chomba taw ronje da chomba tindiji la koban de ba de lo tindiji yoba ina te tan donan korwa ke dongha ke korwa donghali daman de ba tam te yoba ina 다들 그거는 하마 니지 도sol래 하그랬대 이난데 니게 니지 첨부스 이게 말이지
或者比这更加进一步的，我们的对象是无量
the
的
compassion of wanting to free all the sentient beings, so sentient beings who are without any limits, and so taking such a big amount, a vast amount of sentient beings at the same time, and wishing to free them from the suffering of the samsara, of the whole samsara, and establish them in the liberation that would be the state of arat. Of either the Shravakas or the Pratyeka Buddhas, that is a much bigger compassion than the ones that we had before, and yet it is still not the great compassion that we talk about here.
스방 콜라가 동하 시완 양대 니까리 달반데 베글로 던지질 니지 첨부스 남주 던지질 얘기래서 니지 첨부스
那我们平常讲的大悲指的
And
是
so here, usually when we talk about the great compassion, it is the wish of freeing sentient beings from both the suffering of the samsara and from the peace of nirvana. So wishing to free sentient beings from these two is usually the great compassion.
투파르세베기 주른주라 던지질 니지 첨부스 얘기래서 네니
当我们在说
And so it is such a great compassion that is the source of the cause for developing the thought of enlightenment of Buddhista. That is what is called great compassion. Do you have other questions? Is there a mind of equanimity for us to cultivate from this moment onwards in order to prepare for the hour of death?
今天的内容
Would
可以
Rinpoche share hard advice or pit instructions based on this teaching or in this sutra?
ညံပါညီလာတဲ့နေ့ညံပါညီငါလည်းတဲ့နေ့ဒေထုနာရရှိစလေစံပြရတဲ့နေ့ငါဆိုဒါတာရန်ဒီနေ့ချွေနမ်သမ်ကျေတဲ့နေ့ချွေနီတဲ့နေ့ညံပါညီလာတဲ့နေ့닉 토바당 되니 검토야기 사람지 여래베 데 가서 다가 예식이 도기 고네 되니 가서 맹아라비지 손으로 나셔야면서
다 나카이 힘도 코로나니 소나게 따다니 시칼라 마토 근근데 따다니 나카이 힘은 제कर 제들 해바나긴게 추탐지지 롱이 넘버 다고 임베 ngobome bende hisen de ngobome betanto to tombo tebata samba goni hakwache tene titandele yoni yon de gamji chene gambrche yate ta tabhi tele laji meres
那是如果我们以本经的
So, following what is found in the Sutra of the Wisdom of the Hour of Death, which says that since also not waiting for the mantra, that from this moment onwards, to think that all phenomena are utterly pure, and because of that, then developing the thought of the absence of phenomena. And so in order to reach that, then there's nothing better or nothing else rather than to study and contemplate that and then meditate on it. And so, as for this wisdom at the hour of death, so if one is able to meditate or to put one's mind in the recognition of this wisdom of the hour of death, which is also the bodhicitta, if we're able to meditate on that one, that's the best.
Tongani Churamji Sen, the top Nase, Shigdo to the Hendu to Tata Rani, Tatani, Nima Tarchato, Jonderchene, Tonga to the Jonderchene, the Richebayina, the Noko Hibek Nekap Salayanayo, who Tata, Yomni to the Jet to Yosare.
Then if you look at the instructions that are found in the mind training text, they are all crucial instructions. They are all bit instructions that are given. And so, for example, these 5 strengths or these 5 powers that should be meditated at the moment of death, if from now onwards we are able to practice them, to get accustomed to them, and to make them be to develop them right now, then it will be possible, most probably, to apply them at the moment of the actual death.
Concept sonju ji sem na re dandam sonju sem dadan deni ke je tong na nyamni gamba se pongni gamba se te sheon de dandam sonju ji sem gamya de bangbo pe na nge nima chek la gami pe na hat zankhor chek nga te ke samla dandam sonju ji sem gamba ke sam de yin se yona dawa chek lo chek yona message chek la tandi gang yin se na tamcha che tane te ke gam tamcha che ba na yin ke tene soso ke te gam toba lamhong yongwa ke chedoro sonamda yihi je chok kache na sa chetop je tene danga nangye ke soso ke damja jeba nangye ke damja jeba nangye ke soso ke tene nima tarcha to dandam sonju ji sam to la je gamji je ne soso ke tata kare sogoro gamji je de cha thoyaji ngam shushu ke jong thoyaji cha thoyaji tene je zo thoyina tenen checking nekap sota tat gombal la kanga tini mederela tenen cheka ke nekap la ina ya cheton phoa se je ke chebe ke nekap so phobe ke donga mombu jureti lojo no hede je ke phobe donga tel laji ndo so ne ngan je tamba mombu je tin ju song yure tin ti chan lo yo sare
所以所谓的菩提心，因为我们刚刚提到的这个平等。
When we talk about the ultimate reality, the ultimate bodhicitta, and so according to following what is written here in the question, meditating on the equanimity, which is actually another way of talking about the ultimate bodhicitta. And then, so if that is the practice that you want to undertake, then first you should make take the commitment or engage yourself in meditating on this equanimity for 1 day, or 1 week, or 1 month, 1 year, or during one lifetime. So first you should make this promise to yourself that you're going to meditate upon it for this period of time. And then afterwards, if you are able to engage into accumulating merits in order for your endeavor to be successful afterwards and to accumulate as much as merit as possible. And then at the same time to make sure that you get accustomed, that you get familiar, that this equanimity or that this absolute bodhicitta becomes something that is integrated into your daily life up to the point where it becomes completely natural to behave and to think about that. Then you will be, that will be the best. And so besides that, there's also many instructions on the transference or poa. And so out of all of them, then many are the scholars or the realized beings who agree on the fact that there's nothing more profound than the instructions that are given in the mind training teachings.
Ni angare lojong non songdo lojong to te tangi kono shibana yune menga ga dodo ja de yudu menga sena ta to re de yure se pat to hobde ta le hawo huji re de tanga nenga chimbo huji cha de yudu tene tenano menga res
比方说要讲窍诀性的修法的话
even let's take the example of offering even just a single butter lamp. When we do that, then you should make this offering thinking that you dedicate it to being able to realize the ultimate bodhicitta, or to realize the ultimate reality of all phenomena, and to be able to meditate on that not only right now, but more specifically when the moment of the bardo comes. And then as for aspiration prayers, to always make the aspiration of being able to realize the ultimate bodhicitta, which is following the question that has been asked, the same thing as the equanimity. and that we have found. And so always make the aspiration prayer or the vow, the aspiration prayer to be able to meditate on that. And then also to follow these instructions that are found in the mind training teachings about the moment of death, such as the five powers. And so all of this seems to be very simple and very casual, but actually those are all pit instructions because they all touch a very crucial point of what should be done.
Tata yongni yongdala nima takwa tandi tayang da tuso nam chona nam zambik tuso kokap chona ya triji train tamcha yongni yongdo tamcha jaya to de mengare de yosar.
Yes, sir.
And then also, whether it is at the moment of death or during the intermediate states, etc., to any time that we have the possibility of thinking or of reminding ourselves of that, then to always make the vision to create in our minds a very strong resolve of at those moments. I will meditate on the ultimate Buddhist.
Gangwin chibe kapsu te gamne hegi pardo gne kapsu te gangwin sen tene yoni yon tamcha che te gewe zawa sana yon te la gang to ba khu te che de yin ting ho malang yo jep ta tang ku ba na yin tene ta da dodo ta yoni yon da res no te nga chi nga chu soma la dewa chi mo re de tene yoni yon da ta ta ni kunzup sonju sen to tando sonju sen te la jangdal ra yin na te tene ji che ba yin na tene ta 집에 내가서 다들 저런 저밭 그 번나긴 게 검토야 마세바 되니 총 제베게 고급 다이나 빼 장선 다이나 빼 첨부레드 요레스 되는 가서 대사드 까마 줬음질라 브레이야이
那么刚刚只是借由这个问题
So now we were talking about the ultimate bodhisattva, but actually this should be expanded to the two kinds of bodhisattva, both the bodhisattva that is relative and the absolute bodhisattva. And so we should always have this resolve of whether it is at the moment of death or in the intermediate state, always to be able to meditate on these two kinds of bodhisattva, enlightened mind, and then also dedicate as much merit as possible towards that end, and also make aspiration prayers that go in that direction as well. And so if we are able to do that, not only then will we be able to, if during our lifetime we continuously do that, those things, and then when the moment of our death comes, then we will be able to do that during the intermediate state as well. Not only that will be possible, but at the same also, then we will have a much higher chance of actually becoming enlightened at those moments. And so because of that, and because the fact of dying and this kind of practice is extremely related to us, then we should really take that to heart and then engage ourselves in those practices. So if we do so, then our chances of getting enlightened at those moments are very big, are great. And then I will make a 10-minute break.
是
Hello.
Hello，感觉好，我们回来。
那时候当然说蒙特尼是吧英国了。
老师，我们就继续提问。
Take
面
more
对
questions.
如何予帮助？
Next one is, how should we help those who are ill?
네파 탐제를 펜타고 탐랑다. 이제 너무 담는 못 보여요 봐.
一般来说有很多的方
But
法。
generally speaking, there are many different ways that we can help those who are ill.
제가 이나타 무슨 라링게 거는 빼는 해야 땅 맨주지하게 펜타토yana 아장장 예 마고래. 근데 마터 타림보도 소소게 근데 그 무슨 펜타사 그 요를 메나이나요. 소소게 개비자와사 대다 내일 타워 조버사베기 제도 모양다다. 다 점로 집주세나 데레 또 더주 제가 대표면 스피게 편도 친구 연구요레스.
如果从内道佛教徒的角度，或者是大圣实修
So from the point of view of a Buddhist person or a practitioner of the great vehicle, then if we're able to concretely help the person who is sick, such as by doing things such as giving medicine or treating, etc., then of course this goes without saying that we should do that. And if we're not able to do so because the person is very far from us or out of reach of what we would be able to do, and then we should accumulate merits and then dedicate it to the person or do practices in order to dispel the obstacles of that person, etc. So that is what should be done.
류당 삼지토라 내게 강아 용된게 기비니 컴나 지지요리 썸지 메쳐버요 대다 강각해 내들이 이제 자왕 타버스비 탑히지 조인스 양 대다라지 대도 동ling 된지 제 대도 동ling 제베게 게베자와 때남 내리 도르제베 제도 호 말람 드리지 제바이나 제 무슨 제바이나 인라 제 핀다의 넘버에 단도 오늘 펜토 체크도 롱는 용거요 때 강한다네요. 되게 땡땡 펜토기요 네팔.
是。再来对于自己所
Then
见
also saying that just in the same way that we are seeing someone who is struck by sickness in front of us, then in a similar way, there are so many other sentient beings, so many other beings who are also suffering the same kind of sicknesses and the same kind of suffering in the universe. And so thinking about all of them, thinking about all sentient beings who are suffering from such a sickness, then wanting to then practicing the exchange of one's happiness with the suffering of others, and then to do that practice. So in the aspect, it looks like we're giving the happiness, our happiness to others, and so they are the ones who benefit most from that practice. But in reality, it's ourselves who are benefiting most from that practice. And of course, the sentient beings that we are aiming at will also reap the benefits of that practice.
当然我们这样子做对于病患也肯定能够有所帮助。那是
근데 나초 메시지 때 내가 가르쳐 봐야나 yin 소소게 대바다 이치 요사지라 미페다니 드니티 땅카제 제톱다나 내가 제토야 되라 제발 딸 내가 제베게 탑시직 근데 차그레스 내가 제베게 탑시직
所谓的人呢，我们在从事某件
to us human beings, whenever we want to do something, we have some work to do, something to accomplish, then one of the ways to go about that is to look at other people who have successfully done that and follow in their footsteps.
네파 네오 멘티 탐제라 네오 제네 단 네파 탐제라 요포체네 던지 페페 로주에 제선 점된 대응 던지 페베 나 점된 데 지스노 인 인디잖아 tenen tek nepa ke rei to sola hala par to so so kong the ni roba che na ye je we ba che ta je ge ba ji re sam teni ji sam teni sam ya to so te ta nepal ngus pen to ya pen to che ala teni shuki chen bu yong ro ba
那时候，所以以我们来说，也需要有。
And so, out of all those to whom we can look up to, then if we look at the Buddha Shakyamuni, and we can see that in his life there's many occasions during which he has himself served sick people. And so, for instance, there are many stories in the sutras that tell how the Buddha took care of took care of sick monks in his community. And so we can think that, on the one hand, I am a student of the Buddha Shakyamuni, and on the other hand, the Bhagavan has served sick people during his life. And so just in the same way that he has helped and benefited sick people during his life, I will also do that. And then also because the sick people are beings who really need and are worth of being helped.
Nelly Trovers have it. Gusupena, the Kakutamba, Lopa Lamji Nekabs, Kerapusu Zena, Nepatamji, Chedula, Susu Guluina, Jambatan Ropaches, Tendua, Pena Tosula Zekene, Kandana, Tedatamji, Nepal paint over paint towards the Tapshi Chickless.
同样的，我们也可以看到。
And then if we are able to have a stable trust and stable conviction in the law of cause and effect, and if our practice of the two kinds of bodhicitta is also has also reached some level of stability, then we would be able maybe to engage into the similar practice that the Buddha himself has engaged into when he was on the path of training during his training when he was a Bodhisattva. And then we can see in many of the Jataka stories that he benefited sick people, sick sentient beings, up to the point of giving his own life in order to cure them. And so
Tene kasa gutu ke na ta tanda do na nga hinji chimbo ya che go gore tendi sana hinji ya chimbo che go gore tendi kanda na nepa khorang ke nechula rong pe na nga so rong ke also put your feet in others shoes se graba rong ke combat yinje kar ham no juk se ke che yo at pe che ke rong masal ya mer rong sal ya na rong ni nepa de na kandu cha sare Look at all Ganga Gandu Donha Gandu Yongsari. Samjito look at all Donha Nasa Gandu Yongsari. Sankutol Ganga, Central Gandu Yongsari. Toso Yoni on the some sheets and take Kanduji Somnon in Dern to Bayana. Then it that Karisogoro Raso Roa Samji Insan is on the Hindi the Chichu with Dedu Yobayindu. And Tini Nepatandayana, Neu Jebatan, Nepala Pain Doyake. 가라속으로 단도에 로데 그런 롱축게 롱롱축 그더니 얘기내서도 야고 하거나 지은 것을 대지은 뭐이나 되네 샘라 흉견부터지 네팔 핀 단도에 봐이나 류동 아니부터 샘지 요번에 차도 요번인데 되니 그런 다 가라서 네팔 핀 따버세베게 다 탑신다 nen가다고 nen다고데 너 네팔 코랑게 네동 동하 대답 간디 유미때 야 하고야 지야데 이 제탱의 용어랑 넘지 탱의
맞어. 那我平常总是这么想的，要能够帮助病患。
The main thing that we should do is to develop this great compassion. And so when we look at a person who is sick, so sick person, then there's this expression, putting oneself in others' shoes, and so exchange our situation with the others mentally. And so imagine that we ourselves are found in the situation of that person, and then trying to imagine how would be the physical suffering, physical discomfort of having to go through that illness, and then together with that, what kind of worries, what kind of suffering mentally that person undergoes because of finding herself in this situation. And if we're able to think about that, if we're able to consider all that, and then we will be putting ourselves in a situation where it's readily developing compassion, where it is very easy. It doesn't need much in order to generate compassion towards others. And so in order for compassion to arise, then I think that the most important is to bring awareness about the situation, about of the person who is suffering, and to know. So if mentally we're able to understand the situation of the person, and then put ourselves in a situation where compassion is ready to be to arise, then since the body and the speech are the servants of the mind, then we will be able to to develop and to bring the help and to bring benefits to the sick person much easily. And that, so from my point of view, usually what I think is that the most important is to know the situation of the person, and then think about what means of helping them. Next question is, we often come across sentences like, everything is the manifestation of the mind. The mind is like a skilled painter capable of creating all phenomena of the world. Khenpo, may I ask, are all phenomena the manifestations of different levels of mind? If so, why do things feel so real when we are aware of the arising affliction? To which aspect level of the mind does this belong?
Nawa de sola pe masi den demba imba den zingteng yore di junzen jigre es ha dine ngazo rang so so ge namdo ane nyumo be namdo shaung du gang la di nga nyumo ba ye sia de goa senandra vipa senandra korang de yang simgi semla de khongsu to ku re be es ya jiwa
somla ni simgi ro Java Tambo de Shunam Sendi Noain said that no power chain is Sunjini with the Tandachi reverse inside.
Dunda Dodo de also Nawa Tamje in Simgi, Chungju Dang Simgi Nawa Revesa.
Alan Lasso, Tanti Dick gets a hit on the Latin. It's a also Jurgen and a Justin Puchiles.
So the question of whether everything is the manifestation of mind or not is a rather vast theme, vast topic.
这个提问它本身涉及的层面很广。
但是就一家全部的社会中心的，这当别人宽松不能的三种么这样的我当，等你律动农村那的话是刚刚的三民送的，都从都的农个去把都从送的呀，都从当他当的送去都从的因为呢。다 삼성 바래 다가나 이게 오마빠라야 나주주고 오마빠 대남진 이메나 고다지 인도 노아도 샘레 샘 꾸이기 돌로 바차야니 대원게 다 좀한단 zembe 넘버 나니 도나 류동 농수라 소바 내단다와 강가데 된 나온다고 요레 샘드 노아레스 된지 시고 요레 파워지고도 노니 순주데 또좀 대단 만다바지 레샤
那如果说我们按照
The reason of that is that usually when we hear affirmations such as all the three realms of samsara are nothing but the mind, or just like we can find into the Lanka Avatar Sutra that the body, the possessions, and the place where we are, all of this is also nothing but the mind. And so if those affirmations are taken from the point of view of the Chittamatra school or out of the Madhyamika schools, the Yogacara school, if from those two points of view, then we can take these affirmations quite literally and then say that all the appearances are actually coming, or actually exist as the mind or through the magical appearance of the mind, through as manifestations of the mind itself. So we can understand this quite literally. But then when it comes to the Avatam Sutra, then it's a little bit different.
Sam game me ke top ji ko ne le game me ke tri chu chunga yin ba yin di sana do se ke ne ju kanga te sam la te ne le sa le la te ne chunga yin di sana sam ji di sam de remo kin da wo che da ji tin ne ju ni ji na remo ti ya ko na gi re so ne sam la te ne chung re sa ke ja de ma to ji tin te nam sam yin se wa ke sing de te me dos
比方说，我们看到在
when we have this quote from the Avatam Sutta that says the mind is like a skilled painter capable of creating fundamental words, then the meaning is that whether we are talking about the external, outer world, or the beings that inhabit it, all of them are coming about through the actions that are accumulated, through the karma that is accumulated. And so since karma itself is the mind, then we can say, from that, we can say that all the outer world and the inner sentient beings that inhabit it are like created by the mind. And then we can use that metaphor that the mind is like a painter, and then all the world, all the universe, everything is the creation of that painter. But then here we're only saying, we're not saying literally that everything is the mind. What these words are saying here is that those have been created by the mind.
Samle yube bakya ke top di koni nang de jigdang de samle ta de ba samhong se samje rong ji de ma de samle ta de ba yu ma re se ya ko de no jin sa le
然后这一位法友所问的第一句说
when in the sutra that we have here, or this affirmation that everything is the manifestation of the mind, and so in the sutra of the wisdom of the heart, that when it is said that because all phenomena, because everything is subsumed in the mind of enlightenment, you should meditate on the great compassion. And so here in those kind of contexts, then it is meaning that all the samsara and the nirvana are actually brought through the habitual tendencies. And so it's not that there are
Jamso la tene balap chunga na yikin chung de yure jamso le chung balap te jamso le yemba mai ba na yinke tada ngaso la nang de ju ke khonde je no anda da thamje chang rong so so ke ku yin nam hi de la tha te ba yo ba je ke sam ji he ge ma res.
And so all of these habits and tendencies are the ones that give rise or that result into the phenomenal world. And so by saying that it is manifestation of the mind, or appearance of the mind, that is what is meant. It is the result of the actions of the mind, not that it is the mind that appears in this way. And then in order to take another example, we can say that the universal ground consciousness is just like an ocean. And then within this ocean, the habitual tendencies give rise to the ways of the appearances of the world. And so just like in that example, the world or the waves cannot be said to be different from the ocean.
다때 그런 가서 빼 메시피게 감지 흉kim보 동보 내로 그다라 지진다 하마고니 다음에 발라 다는진 되네 다는진 발라테니 예는 통 다긴긴 진비긴 진바토서 제 감지디 흉케 사람 하만이 제 박차 투구래서 중심이고니 되네 가렌 노와이나 노야데 그런 ngomanda ngene da je phak yo ba den zin ne tene korong kunjabla no le lo sam le lo jo me ba hakko matop dan tambala te je me ba hakko tu matop ni korong no na yi ke phage dang ke thola tere rang ne de yo ba te ta korong rong shuk den zin ba kya ke top je ngai gamji shuk je so top je ko ne den zin ro yo.
至于第二个问题说为什么
But the next question is, if so, why do things feel so real? And the reason is that it is because we have such a great habituation or habit of seeing things in that way. And so we start by clinging to ourselves on the one side to create the duality of ourselves and others. And so so since the beginning last time, we have created this habit of considering ourselves to be a single entity, etc. And then from that, then there is the others, everything that is not ourselves, which also is getting used and habituated to. And so this habit of this distinguishing between ourselves and others becomes so strong because this habit becomes so thick that then we do not see anymore that the outer appearances are not distinct or not different from the mind, and that's ultimately, or in the real nature, then they do not have anything like being ourselves and being others and being and all of this. And so it is because of such a huge habit and being so familiarized in such a long time that it is. And then what was the third question? When we're aware of the conflict arising frictions, to which aspect of the mind does this belong?
Hindi re chitang sem korong de la sem ta ripa sipa se ju de la yönting de yanan niores.
关于第三个问题就是觉知烦恼生起。
So the real question is not what is written
首先这个觉知本身
here, but since it comes from Chinese, it is, does this belong to the mind? So when we're aware of arising affliction, does this belong to the mind? And so Khenpo was answering that there, of course, it does belong to the mind. And so when we talk about that, there's two different.
Shiba korang tana shiba ramada niyo marade shiba jeke gelenda sena yontindo tinda nama ni che tuyores.
我们不能说这样子的了知或者
And so when we perceive something, when perception occurs, then there are two different things that happen. First, we're aware of the object, and then the mind is aware of itself. So it's not like there are two minds, but there are two functions that are accomplished at the same time.
晓得者，那个晓得我在了知外境的那个晓得者，它是属于这个事的一部，或者是这个觉知的本身，它不是两个东西，但是我们可以说它的功德或者它的作用不同。
那마음에 오지 제자야 보이나 마음에 되게 긴 공부용 싸그래라 마음에 코롱코롱나요 싸그래스 pen tena yenge the chala so beke nona shibaji yinizonde semji yinizonde sem korong ke kare samgo yona samsi ke yulte shiba mazeba sem korong yo de ce de la
举一个例子来说，就像是
So if you take an example of a lamp, then not only does it light up the room and make everything in the house clear, but it also makes itself clear. So the lamp itself, because of it being a lamp, is clear itself at the same time. And so in the same way, the mind not only does it apprehend, or does it know, is it aware of the object of perception, but at that very moment, at that very place, without anything different, and it's also aware of itself. Okay, so next question.
请问我们怎么面对
How should we handle the fear we feel at the hour of death? When a family member is about to pass away, we can't help but feel sad and an unwillingness to let go. How should we take hold of our heart, mind in such moments?
主要谈不啦，我说让人说说给起开来了，对个了，张能着急当写当的不是多不着急的，就是生用个了，对毛对对的呢，我说他们着急可能人不着急可能点个样的，对主要谈不的，主要你把了我说让人说说给农民着急，或者起开来的这个了，我说样但是生脚着急当的呢可能是那刚刚着急吃个了，对的呢我说上路当干的是过的啥。
그래서 다티니까 되라 ngaso 다다니 다다 ngaso 내저 때 마정분 흥이 자딩데이나 ang서 제거야 내가 지금 차도 이래서
And so for both of these questions, I think that what is the most important is to make a very good preparation and to make a very good prepare ourselves thoroughly before this situation occurs.
Yadam Lasenata, Sonje Penawepa Medang, Jenny Zedang, or Tasosum Depek Latoso Gomiata. Tanganagi Soso Geta, Penasonha Dojiti Junior Jenkin, Jimbeina, on the tree to Tongi Zavalamato, so Yoni on the change gum, Tata, and Yomi Rich Jendu. That's only Mama, necessary to join with the negative so. But Yomni Yabu, Shikati la po gaga toto kin royal maton jigita watan yungu marete that tamarwaji yimba yina tada tadik tendi jede yubayina teni chikalan diktate tendi ma chongru yusares
也就是说现阶段就要去做有所准备，就像我们今天在
And then also think things like what is said here, that since all phenomena are impermanent, then develop the thought of the absence of functional object. And so thinking also that everything that from this present moment onwards, that everything is impermanent and everything is going to change, everything is going to not stay the way it is right now. And then also we also are going to die at any moment. This is also something that is going to happen to us. And then just like Khenpo was saying, Khenpo was saying to meditate on the view and then to meditate on any Yidam deity. So or also or to if we are someone who does the practice of the Vajrayana, then to remind ourselves of the empowerment we have received, the instructions that we have received, and then do the practice that correspond to these. If we're able to do those practices right now, then at the moment of that, the only thing that will be left is to go and engage ourselves into the death completely happily without any slight discomfort or anything. And even if we are not such a good practitioner, but an ordinary person, then at least then we won't be so much afraid, and then we will be as close as possible to that state. So this is just like when we have a very important exam, we're very afraid. Then on the other hand, if before that exam we had taken a good care about the time that we had in order to prepare to study, and we had done a thorough preparation, we had done a lot of exercise, and we are completely ready for that, then not only we're not going to be afraid, but we'll be very happy about that. So if now we don't practice the Dharma, and if we don't behave and according to what the Buddha has taught, then when the moment of that comes, then there's nothing much that can be done in order to alleviate this fear.
examination
and so
if right from the present moment we were to study thoroughly and then practice according to what this sutra of the wisdom of death is saying, so these 5 points that are described here in this sutra, if we put all our efforts in that, if we practice thoroughly that, then it's just like we're saying that the moment of death is just like an examination for practitioners. If we are good practitioners and if we have a thorough preparation, then there won't be any fear that we have. This question is, so when someone that we love comes to the so what should we do when we are sad because of the imminent passing of someone that we love? So Khenpo answers that, well, this is actually the same situation as the previous one, as for ourselves. If we are able to prepare ourselves from now onwards, then when the moment of the passing of someone close to us will come, then we will be fully prepared.
normal pama to sepe normal to shibe kan ga so tetong kanga the yungurete yana somnon dantong la tse kaso somnon dantong ke cheper chimbo chegres.
And even if we're not able to make such a thorough preparation like we would like we have described here, but when we reach close to the moment of death of a close one, such as our parents, our father, mother, or close relative, if we are able to change our way of thinking about this, and if we are able to make it closer to what we have said here and to turn our thoughts in a different way, then it's going to be helpful. And then, for example, if we have the close person who is about to die, and then we go there, and then we are not able to retain our tears, and so we explode into tears and cries, etc. Then what is usually said is that we should refrain. We should not be crying in front of the person who is dying. It is also said that however much we can, we should behave in a way that prevents the negative emotions or the defilements of the person to arise, and we should do things that will not trigger their emotions.
negative segura ko tindi samkom nyomong rek tan dona sam yapu mayimba tindi jinro tindi chikala tindi jeson yana shinrong ke te khorang la pe misme no chibu jiga go yor tang aso chikate la pen ta ya do no ja nika thugo yor jeson pen ta de tana soso ge chik chu jobya ta ngone zewa samba de zewa yana kanga de dongha de so slolan tan ma hyo je thaki jene ya support 라고 추 기계 소속이 되니 주념네 가리 제거 여바이나 쇼호 고랑은 너바 톰바지 가리나요 좋토야 근데 제야 또 소띠는 같이 차대고
됐어. 比方说
and so if the person who is dying if that person when it is the person who is dead, then we make it so that the emotion of the person gets triggered, and the person is going to, if we do things, for example, that go against his wishes or that make his negative emotions rise up, making him angry or make him having a lot of desire or having a lot of these emotions, and then he will also he will develop those emotions in the same way, and then because of that, then he will be influenced by the emotions that we have triggered in him, and then because of that, he will be reborn in an unfavorable birth. And so because of that, it is important to not stay crying in front of the person, in front of the dead, because the dead person will also see the cries that we are doing, and then he will also feel very sad. That is going to put him in a mindset that is not going to help him get a good rebirth. And similarly, it is also said that wailing and so crying and making a lot of noise and then making a lot of problems around the fact that that person had died, etc., and then saying and doing things that will trigger attachment, aversion, and ignorance. If how much more we're going to do things that go in that direction, then the sentient, the dead person will also follow the triggers that we are setting, and then he will also give rise to these negative emotions, and because of that, he will have a bad report. And so we can help and harm dead people in that way. And so it is really important to try to support them by doing practices and doing the Dharma activities just in the same way that he wishes. Okay, next question. All the teachings on dying mention that everything should be based on bodhicitta. If we don't have bodhicitta, will the practice of power help us?
Shira pengi yosa kadesi badine janju gi senzi mazima ina dine pengi yosa male jengi yo pena poa jang asa di rangdok gi poa jang dine lalenda ya yo la poa dine jawa jawji dine yo la ina rang so gi chika le ong ju kana kadesi badine janju senji matuba ina dine poa kadesi jang jama chawa yuan na yang dine yang poa dine yabo lalenda tusa male sang yo
체크할 게 너가 다 뭐요래. 대값을라 체크할까라 정주지 샘 제토야 한다고도 정주지 샘 공통하나 안게 동보래 당그 공도 주바나 인가 안게 동보래스.
So there are a lot of different piece instructions that are given for the moment of death, and out of them, the developing and meditating upon the bodhicitta is the very best of all of them.
특별 말해도 nomba sonjepe 인데 요러와. 된 nomba sonjepe 단 너도 되고이나 군추 섬라 대바다 이치 여den기 든지지게 되니 체외게 내값사 임바이나요 다 냠내 자치 뭐 매나요 페나 송제당 송주 선발에 담비추도를 짬로 제니 제바스마 페나 루틴 야부 진lenro 후서 만남 제외한다고 또 제바인 땡땡 배도 전부 연구요랬어.
그래서 假使缺乏菩提心但是仍然是
Then there are those Buddhists who do not think about so there are also Buddhists who do not practice bodhicitta, so outside of the Mahayana. And so for these kind of practitioners, then people who have faith and trust into the three jewels, even if they don't have a very developed practice,
so
even if they don't have a huge practice, then to be able to make prayers to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas so that they can be reborn in a good place is going to be very helpful. And so in short, if you want to summarize all of this, then to put the person by doing things on our side or by asking the person to put into a positive so the main point is to be able to die with a positive state of mind. And so that positive state of mind can take many forms. It can be to meditate upon deities, it can be meditate upon the teacher, it can be meditate upon the view, like we have seen before, all of this. And so, but in short, it should be according to the practice that we have done and what we're used to practicing during our lives. And so, so the moment of that is the moment during which we should really apply the teachings and the practice that we have developed during our life. And so that is what should be done. The most important is to be able to develop such a positive state of mind. And yes, and so out of all the instructions on the power, then this is actually what it is all about.
포악은 배현시에도 나게 땡땡 다 소소글 또 이치요고 이치요바 나게 근데 라링시고 그래 대시바이나 땡땡 좀 됐던 tango서레스.
然后如果是一个有修持
And
的
then
这个
if we are practitioners of the civic mantras, then there are many different ways of doing the poa that one might have received in practice. And so we have at that moment, at the moment of it, we have come to the right moment to apply and to actually do the poa on ourselves. And then if we do so, then it is absolutely certain that it will be of great benefit. And so so the first thing is to have complete trust into this practice, and then after to know how to apply, to know the techniques, and then so based on these two, then if we do the practice of the poa, then it is absolutely certain that a great benefit will ensue.
포아 제원도 인치민지 그 포아 집서 그 요때라 송주지 샘 유리지 고 니바 요 말에 코랑 빼나 포아 짐킹 그 강사 념도 또가 징딘 남제 포아 야부 제원도 돈조 바조도 돈도 임베이나야 대화 진지 경험을 빠르터야다 보다 다가나 이게 그 다부실은 렌토야 띠띵띵 연구요서래 제가 된디 다트수 중을 제 된데 제트버스발라 념도 또가 줄라 다 념닌체니 념도 또뭐 줄 센통부터를 해보고 요새래 념도 또뭐 센통으로 말해봐 이나야 포아도 졸라 장다리 야부 걔네 다 쫓아와도 이치 손제당 손제지 줄이 이치 야부요 뒤때는 포아는 그다 거로 당화도 줬대 dimma지긴 하고 나게 그 라니타 던지지 제바이나 수 젠킹 코랑 근근이 직 념도 또바 직 사톱선 그 세토모 많이 버수수 지오지 레도 여바이나야 당화 코랑 그 누바게 띵띵 바로 봄때 라송주 제산 연한다 매난다 서화 연한다 농화 연한다 매연한다 돈도 연한다 강가 술을 잡아 연하요 띵띵게 그런 다부시는 핑트야 렌트야 된 연구였어요.
再来就是如果他人在协助往生者的时候
and then if one is we have a great practice of the poa, and then if we have reached a very high realization, then we are going to be able to perform the poa for people with whom we have a relation, either of the Dharma or through having received offerings from them. And so the recipient of this poa that will be done does not need necessarily to have developed the bodhisattva in that case. It can be even a cow or any other type of animal. And if we have these qualities and we perform the poa for them, then it is certain that we'll be able to take them to Sukhavati or to the Pure Land, to any Pure Land. And so, of course, in order for that to happen, then we need to have a very high level of practice and a high level of realization. And but then if we do not have such a high realization, but we apply the instruction, the big instructions of the transference, just very strictly according to what is being taught.
对于法门有强烈的
Then through the power of the instruction themselves, then we need to certainly be able to lead the sentient beings to the heaven. Whether they have developed bodhisattva or not, that doesn't change the fact that we will be able to have them, make them be born in Pure Lands.
往生者，不管他是外道也好，他是内道也好，他是人道众生也好，他是旁生也好，他到底有菩提心也好，没有菩提心也好，教言的力量加上这个修持者本身的信念，跟他对于这个教法的通达，确实也是能够帮助对方前往清净刹土的。这个也不必然对方需要有菩提心的。那是。
そうだね。それはね。
有三个。最后一个问题，但主要他玛人在学习的过程。
So the last question: when we're studying Dharma, some ideas are very difficult to understand. In this case, should we try our best to understand the concept at hand, or should we leave it aside and think about the difference between various types of minds, loving kindness, compassion, etc.? If we're unable to understand this, the different minds, clearly, will this affect our studies in other scriptures?
퇴섬 지용되거나 첨전되는 무슨 냉가시라 시고 뭐라 되네 돈다양 야보 고알레 마토바데 강아 체기래 데디 맞아 무트네 되네 우주자네 되네 또 베나데네 장주지 쓴네 돈다 하마 보네 되네 우주자네 하고 에토 되네 따네 되네 심 데레 심베 되네 돈다 되네 퇴섬 마지바지 디코다 되네 디코나 되네 무트네 퇴섬제 덴데 제거를 야메나 되네 디테일스 담님 참샤네 최 심발라 되네 고아 심발라 되네 무트네 퇴섬 제거를 그럴까 사례서
다때 레 다 송제지 마송야 그 추토소데 가서 가서 제용 그 해날 레라보지 요마레스 거야.
So
generally speaking, the teachings that the Buddha has given are not easy to understand. Or
the
reason is that the Buddha only tells the truth. And on our side, then we have been so much habituated to non-truth or everything that is false, and it has become really our habits. And so because of that, what is taught by the Buddha is going to be completely at odds with the way that we think usually. And so it is certain that we will reach situations where we wonder, but what does this mean? Why is this being said? And it is because of that that we continue to circle in the samsara.
지긴다 학고와 자기인 삼백에 센톱도 힘톱 세나다 최심 세나다 땡땡 제자제야데 다 손주지 샘제 세나 차로 그래 내가 전부 차대 그래서
And so even if it is difficult to think that I will do whatever it takes in order to understand completely and thoroughly what the Buddha has taught, and I'm going to do all the effort that needs to be done for that, then this to develop this kind of interest to the teachings. And so we can also say that actually this becomes part of what bodhicitta is. So then we should make that resolve and have that courage.
nga ke jingyin kong song du kap ka la pe che ten ta ne kwa ya ko mlen ba ina mlen do na do sem ko gonde to so je ne kama ka ge jiren la do se gonde to so nyamle je ne ten ji je ba ina ta pen to chim bo yong go yore la kwa misa ka la ko le yong re se ten ji song do pe na te na ge do sem ji gonde ndo to so je ya da ten huma jab jin chen bo je ge ma ge do ji de ni song song pe na do ji de ndo je la metal cake tunare pu cake tunare sa cake sanare te jeni soba tap teni pecha to ka kale khabu tindisira nenga to so ndaye mai na tikta ha je no ma ta manda ko wa mix aba tindi leving re sungu to jesam tindi indi kale khabu na tanda cha so ina jesam jombe yon dawo to so zabala ma to so wan that to so jeba ina tendi ko la ya la pentu chimbo yongu yo sare se tenge ta zum karso da koran ngene practical tawanda which chati in the shuye
that's那大家回到这个法友的提问
I've heard from a Kagyupa teacher who had a very great practice, and he told me that if from his experience when he was studying something that is very difficult to understand, and then when he got stuck in this kind of situation, then he saw that practicing Vajrasattva and so meditating and reciting the mantra of Vajrasattva is not going to be very helpful, but it also will bring a very a more profound and more detailed understanding of the subject matter. And so this is one thing that can be done to do the practice and recitation of Vajrasattva. And then something else also is like Gyabje Khyentse Rinpoche was saying in Bodh Gaya that when we are studying text that is difficult to understand, even if we only offer one flower or one bottle or make one prostration, and then after that dedicate that merit to the ability of being able to understand that text, then because of those accumulation of merit, then the text will become clearer, will become easier to understand. And so doing things like that also is going to be very helpful. And then so when we find ourselves in situations where we are unable to understand the text, then we should make prayers and supplications to Manjushri and such deity, and then that will be helpful. And so I'm saying, giving this answer because it's a very practical question.
Yin Kong Yundi Kaya me, ta pecha tundu tanda to Kaukal Kale Kabo Ha Mogo do Lama la Soa Zin the Lama Dojin Chujulo do Del Yome on the year me para Soa Zin Deni Kamakaki so and then the Human Kik Pecha Tanda de Yaku in Hakong Yundo Sungudo Penatini in the Tatu de Nyamli Kingi Nyamyo Ma here on the Dama Segore, tending also Tata Nina Young to the Pen and Hinji Dawaji. Young Gana Yago Hako to Madonna, then some paya, Kamakashi chicken, Tanya Rumbo Yamaba, Tenisuki chick, Lago Latang, Tosolo, so and depth, Sonam just to Tosa, Yamayon can have to there, to Cheba and Tin Pinto Chimbayongo, you said it.
That's so. Now, beyond so go to.
And then also, Khenpo Gunga Wanchu. Once remember that once someone came to him and said, "Oh, you must have some special qualities, some special ability in order to be so accomplished and yes, such an accomplished scholar." And then so this person was kind of joking, and then Khenpo answered saying, "Oh, I don't have any special quality, but what I do usually when I'm reading a difficult text and I can't understand it, is that I pray one pointedly to my teacher," and so his teacher was Vajradhara Jamikante Choki Dorje. And so by spending some minutes praying one pointedly to Jamikante Choki Dorje, inseparable from Manjushri, and then when I read again that passage, then I have a new understanding that comes up, and so it becomes easier to understand this difficult text. And so these kind of things of when people with a lot of experience, when they share with very high practice, when they share their experience, this is what we call pit instructions. And so here, when if we find ourselves in a situation when we don't understand the text or something like that, then we can apply those pit instructions. And so we can make prayers and supplication to the teachers from the deity.
Jigsaw Tata Hamago, that did something Ninji down on him to so Gandhi image my junkie. Kasi to so Hakoni, Humate Hakon, Sigrilla, Kasi to so that's how you go like young get to you. Some Jamba Tanda Gandhi minute. Tanta Dodo, Hamago party, Yagami, some big Tamchat in the at negative which is hard.
Now, we have a 具体的例子来回答这个。
And so to accumulate some merits and then to dedicate that for the purpose of being able to understand. And so doing that is going to definitely to be helpful. And then at some other times, let's say, for example, we're in the context of studying the 4 immeasurable thoughts. So you have compassion, then equanimity, and then kindness. And if you're unable to clearly understand what kindness is, then you can go to the explanation of the other incommensurable thoughts. And then it is possible that after having studied the others, then the meaning of what kindness is will become clear on its own. Or it is also possible that after you come back to the explanation of kindness and you understand it clearly.
samjinji samji gyul deni devrhi bin bu gyul deni kanzare sare te insan zandila namchi jevar sebe ki jujin chung do yore tendi chung yo jujin yo de ware te yodi zana hakko matoba se ti teni mesibre ta hakko goya tobar sevala ta 가르쳐 배트는 제도 메제들라 라레데 요인선에 계속 되니잖아. 근 다른 당가서 바제 참드나 야긴스.
所以你需要有这样的坚定。
And so in short, you should make a very clear and strong resolve that you will do whatever it takes until you understand what you are studying. And so that is going to make sure that you reach that goal. And so in short, if we put the effort that is required, there's nothing that we can't understand that will stay unreachable to us. And similarly, if we put the effort that are required, it's impossible that we do not reach enlightenment. The reason for that is that we as sentient beings do have this Buddha nature without any slightest doubt. And because of having that Buddha nature, then we have all the positive conditions to reach the state of omniscience. And because of that, there's nothing that can't be understood if you put the effort and you do what is required in order to do that. And so because of that, there's nothing that cannot be understood. There's no situation in which you can say I lost all hope in order to understand that. This does not exist if you do what is necessary. And so I think it is with that we're going to stop here.
단 드랭가 순다나 야인데 다 도나 당국 싶은 얘기디 나까 얘기 돈이나 너 침보침 말에 너 중형기 이 속그거리 중요래 요새거니 침보된도 되나 이 속은 중요래 된도 솔 럽존제 된데 당국께 저와 되는 최백에 답변은 도 되던다 야보제 사고하고 마다면 또 히말로야 로나에 펜토 자침보 요래스 너 히말로제 되네 간단하야 되지네 베스노로지 다 되네 나서 다트나 상야로
总而言之今年
So in short, when we look at a sutra like this one, the wisdom of the harmony death, then it is not a very vast, large sutra. It is rather short, of course, in terms of meaning. The meaning that is being presented is very vast, but in terms of the amount of letters and the amount of syllables, it is very short. And so if reading that you don't understand clearly what is being said, then you can read other sutras, and I'm very sure that this will be very helpful for you to understand the meaning of this sutra. And so please do all the effort that you need in order to understand thoroughly those sutras. This is my request, and so I think we're going to stop here.
有瓶颈时也可以去阅读其他的经典。总而言之，希望大家在阅读学习经典方面能够投注精进。今天大概就到这边告一个段落。那是搞定期。那我们今天将所得的功德去做回向跟发愿。愿以此湖
So this merit may all beings attain the omniscient state of enlightenment and conquer the enemy of false and delusion. May they all be liberated from the ocean of samsara and from its pounding
能得解脱
waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Just as the Bodhisattva Manjushri knew to be the way, and Samanthabhadra too, I shall follow in the footsteps of all the Bodhisattvas and make a perfect dedication of those merits. As all Buddhas, past, present, and future, praise the dedication of merit as supreme, all my sources of merit are dedicated completely, so that all may perfect Samanthabhadra's good actions.
不能受用正法之妙才，圆满五道十地诸功德，速集正德金刚持果位。那时候可以解开这些。
Thank you, Khenpo.
谢谢大家今天参加我们的活动，然后再次感谢堪布全英多杰、张坤成老师和朱谦老师，也非常感谢今天所有参与此次共修的法友。Thank you all for joining us today, and once again, thank you Khenpo and the two interpreters, Pema Namgyal and Zhu Chen, for today's teaching. Also, we'd like to thank all of you, our Dharma friends who participated in this practice. 下次再见. See you next time.